AI will not eliminate work. It just
Yeah.
redistributes it.
What are we left with? The complex, tough work where I was an agent, right? And I got, okay, maybe I had two or three calls back to back, but then I got an easy one. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I got the break. We definitely do a lot of manual data entry and transactional work, but it's so much more about the interaction than the transaction.
Ooh,
How are
say
you
that
working?
again. Say that
Yeah.
again. So you can't
Yeah.
just come on here and drop bombs like that and don't say that again. Say that
Yeah.
again.
No, it's so much more, right? Obviously, you have to get the transaction right, but the interaction is so much more valuable and so much more important. I try to tell my team, you have to remember that the person on the other line, this might be the most important or meaningful piece of work that they are doing that day. And for them, what does that feel like when they interact with us? And that's just something I try to, try to humanize it, right? Because it's so easy to get stuck.
Hey guys, it's Juanita Coley, the CEO and founder of Solid Rock Consulting, and we are back with another episode of Tipsy Thursday. We are in season 6. I'm so excited because we have none other than the amazing epic Shmuel. Shmuel, thank you so much for being a guest on this season 6, where we're talking about work in an AI era. And so leaders today are having to balance really like bringing AI into the workforce. They're having to balance the human workforce, and they're also having to keep in mind customers and the business experience, like profitability and those types of things. So I'm so excited. You said something on LinkedIn. I remember you said something on, I was like, oh, I got to get him on the show. So I'm so excited that you took the time to be with me here today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I love talking with other leaders in this space about, these really important topics that's happening right now. We were just talking about how like this is our like once in a generation shift and there's so much to think about. So I'm really super excited to be here.
Before we get kicked off, because I'll just hop right in, but before we get kicked off, tell the audience a little bit more about yourself, where you're working today, your role, and just day to day, what your operations looks like day to day of what it looks to be like a leader in your
Yeah.
space.
So yeah, again, my name's Shmuel Saklad. I work currently. I'm one of the senior managers at B&H Photo in the Enterprise Accounts Department. So we are a inbound B2B contact center. Yeah. So I oversee half of the customer facing teams. So it's about I have four teams that report to me. It's a total mix of between 40 or so direct and indirect employees. My division works with our government and education customers. So local, state, federal, K-12, and higher ed, mostly in the US, but we do international as well. And as you say, everything's about the customer experience, and that's really what we focus on, every single day. And we do a lot of we definitely do a lot of manual data entry and transactional work, but it's so much more about the interaction than the transaction, right? How are
Say
you
that
working?
again. Say that
Yeah,
again. So you can't
yeah.
just come on here and drop bombs like that and don't say that again. Say that
Yeah.
again.
No, it's so much more, right? Obviously, you have to get the transaction right, but the interaction is so much more valuable and so much more important. Thank you for processing my transaction, but how did I make you feel after you left, right? Did you feel like I cared and I treated you like a person? We help customers every single day, right? So sometimes in a contact center, you get just into that rote, processing, oh, another customer, but I try to tell my team, you have to remember that the person on the other line, this might be the most important or meaningful piece of work that they are doing that day. And how are they feeling after, they have this difficult task that they may need to put together a large quote or a large purchase, they're upgrading their studio. And for them, what does that feel like when they interact with us? And that's just something I try to, try to humanize it, right? Because it's so easy to get stuck in that, over and over. But we have to
Yeah.
remember we're talking to people, right? Well, for now, we're talking to people, right?
So true because I was just at TalkDesk's CAB, their customer advisory meeting out in California, and Tiago said something about like truth in the moment, like moments of truth. right? There are some interactions where they are just transactional, right? Like the customer just wants to reset their password or they just want to
Yeah.
do the thing. They don't even care about talking to a person,
Yeah.
right? That's that's what that is, right? But then we have other interactions like what you're talking about where it's a moment of truth that really I'm closing on my first home, or
Yeah.
I am, someone who has passed, or my mother's going
Yeah.
through chemotherapy. These are moments of truth where how I feel is just as much important is just as important as the overall is the experience,
It
so I
is,
think
right?
you tapped on something that we gotta I want to go back, tie into that a little bit more,
Sure.
right? So when we think about, which, because this is all what the season 6 is all about work in an AI era. So as a leader, how do you think about work in an AI era now where you have AI is coming in and it's a part of our labor pool, it's a
Yeah.
part of our workforce. How do you delineate, if any at all, right now? Like, what are you, because I know AI is still very new. It's not new actually at all, actually, but it's new in the way we are thinking about it in contact
Yeah.
center and how much it has advanced. So I'm interested in hearing from leaders that are thinking about, like, how are we thinking about work in this AI era? How are we delineating between the work that will go to AI and work that will go to humans?
Mhm.
Work that is just transactional, it doesn't require any feel to it,
Yeah.
and work that does require feel. And now this goes to our human base. How are you thinking about that? How are you seeing that show up right now in B&H?
Yeah, so I mean, in B&H, we're still early in our implementation. We're starting our, we're being very, which I really appreciate. We're being very deliberate, very thoughtful about what is our real goal with AI and what are we trying to accomplish, right? How is it going to help us improve our employees and make our employees more skilled and more efficient? And then that will translate to how that affects the customers, right? So if you have motivated, you have engaged, productive, efficient employees, that will translate to our customers and how they really are experiencing our service. And how I think about it is, like you're saying, right? There's so much of that transactional, simple, like even for myself as a consumer, right? If I'm doing something simple, I'm checking the status of my order. I don't care. I don't need to speak to a person, right? Easy. Keep it simple. Get me my information and get me out the door. But when it comes to, yeah, something like you're saying, where I need a big project, I need someone to walk me through these steps. I need someone, yeah, God forbid, experienced a loss or someone's going through treatment. Like I was at a show one time and someone from Aflac spoke and was talking about how people call them because they've had a life-changing diagnosis and what they're feeling is what they want when customers call is, I got you. Don't worry about it. Right. And that was like really meaningful and impactful for me. So when I think about it is, yeah, I don't, if it's transactional, if it does not require any empathy or engagement or, any of that deep connection, sure, let's let technology help us with that. But when right, and then we were talking about before where, okay, so that is going to be a big portion of our work that is going to, not go away, but it's going to be handled by a different type of workforce. And I think that that's great, right? And I think that's going to help us do better. But when it comes to what's left, right, what does that look like? And so we're thinking about these skills that have made our people so good at their jobs, right? Those employees that we know you hear them on the phone and oh, you're so good, right? Like
Yeah.
you just there's such sometimes you hear someone on the phone and you're like, wow, you did such a good job. And you could just tell that they connect and they understand that customer and because they have that connection and empathy and ability to just connect with everyone. And those skills are what's going to be even more important and needed even more.
I
And
agree.
and what are we as leaders doing to, by the way, it's not just your current workforce, but it's what are you doing to think about your future workforce? What are you going to do to change your hiring process, your interview process? I'm not just looking for people that can do data entry anymore. I need people that are can do problem solving, can be empathetic. You can't teach empathy. I mean, you can maybe a little bit, right? But you can't really teach empathy. But I can teach you how to look up something in my system. So those
Mhm.
are going to be even more important. And I think it goes even back to our hiring process and the type of people that we're going to be looking for. And our workforce is going to change. And we need to think about, well, if I'm only going to be dealing with complex, emotionally heavy transactions, what am I as a leader doing to support my people in that? Whether that's an extra 5 minute break here and there, right? Like until now, you're dealing with a difficult call. You helped a customer with a difficult situation. Oh, and then you got a password reset. Oh, thank God, right? Like you got that emotional brain reset where I can do this. I've done this 100 times. I don't need to, it's part of my memory. I can just do it in routine, your brain needs that. You need that reset. So what am I going to be doing as a leader for my people that are now going to be just struggling with all this complex, difficult work? And I don't think we talk enough about that.
I love that, Shmuel. Like, tell me, on that thought, right? Again, the theme of this season is all about like work in the AI era and
Yeah.
transformational leadership. I'm interested in if you had to give the audience one transformational thing, like one of the things that you're like, man, this is, and it can, again, I think so many times we think that transformation has to be Mother Teresa, right? Like we fed the whole, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be
Yeah.
that, right? It could be,
Right.
oh, well, like you said, hey, I discovered that giving agents an extra 5 minute break helped to reset them. And by doing that, then we were able to we saw an improvement in CSAT or we saw an improvement in adherence, right? So what's one of those transformational things that you've been able to do in the business that you're like, man, this yielded us so much result?
I'll tell you, it's yeah, really interesting you say that because as simple as this may sound, it comes down to just communication and
Mm,
relationships. And what are we doing as leaders to make people feel like they have purpose and they have meaning? And right, like and it's not anything like you're saying transformational in that sense of like I've invented a new element or I've discovered a new element. It's hey, Bob, I saw you took a tough call. Thank you. That was great. You really did a great job helping them. Or at the end of the day, right? Like that last call of the day before the queue closes and everyone's like, okay, hope it's not me. And and you see the person that picked it up, and say, hey, thank you so much. I saw that. I
yeah,
saw that you took it. And what I started doing is like shouting them out amongst my whole team. So
nice.
so we have like a big team, large team, Teams channel, whatever, chat. So I say, hey, Sarah, thank you so much. I saw you took the last call. I really appreciate that. And thank you for showing up for our customers. So trying to develop this culture of appreciation and recognition,
I
not
love it.
but not just from me, from their peers of, I want you to tell me sometime this week that another coworker helped you out and made your day easier. Right. So
Yeah.
if we can get into this frame of mind and culture of recognition and appreciation for each other, and that we're all here to lift each other up, what a great place to be.
I love that because I believe I've been talking about this for some time actually, where I believe that with AI pushing further into our lives, not just the workforce, but just our lives, period, it's going to increase the human side of things, right? People are going to
Yeah.
crave human connections. They're going to crave more affirmations and
Yeah.
like we talk about Maslow's hierarchy of need of just
Yeah.
being appreciated and affirmed and all of those different things. I believe that AI is going to push us into that more because there's going to be so much that AI and machines and automations are doing for us that when we actually talk to a human being, it's going to be like, man, that is a premium connection. That is a
Yeah.
premium experience. And so I think what you're alluding to here is that what you're really focusing on at B&H is really making sure that those human experiences on the employee side, hey, Sarah, I see you did this, and calling out, making sure they're appreciated is a premium experience, which will, I believe, pay in dividends.
I agree with you. And I was like jumping because what you said, like I firmly believe that as well. Like what we saw, in times of COVID where
Yep.
everybody was socially distant and you could not connect with each other, it's going to be the same thing, right? Like people are going to be craving that human connection and that human interaction. And yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be a premium. And I think as leaders for what we need to focus on amongst our teams, how are we gonna drive that connection, and how are we gonna create that meaning and that community for each other? And like I think there's so much focus on the agent level. Like, what are we doing with our agents? How is this helping our agents with agent assist and next best actions and all of that stuff? And that stuff is great, but I think a huge piece that we're missing is what are we doing about our supervisors and managers, our
Yeah.
first level, teams that they're not getting any support. There's no discussion about them right now. There's no support. What are they going to be doing? How are they going to measure their people now? If
Yeah. Yeah.
we're talking about handle time, their handle time is going to go up because
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with difficult stuff. Your adherence might go up because I needed to step away. And how are we coaching and training our leaders to think about that? And I
Yeah.
think it's a huge miss that nobody's talking about this.
Yeah, it's so crazy, right? Because I'm doing a session over in London and it's called the Future Ready Manager, right?
Ooh,
So it's the Future Ready Manager. Shout out to Savina Onwalker. It's her event. We're going to be at AWS London headquarter, AWS building in London. And we're talking about the Future Ready Manager because to your point, there's not a lot of conversation to support the managers right now, the
yeah,
supervisors and the agents, because so much of the conversation is around AI, 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 which
yeah,
again, I don't believe that's the wrong conversation. I think it should
sure.
be AI and, right? It's an and conversation around how do we integrate AI into our workforce in a way that people are still supported, right? And I think that that's super important as we go into this work in the AI era.
Yeah, and I think we have to think about like there's different levels though, right? Like the future ready manager, whereas someone who's new maybe to that, it's like there's a different level of support that they're going to need. Whereas somebody currently in management, it's a different level of support, right? Like I've currently done my job, and my role is now very likely changing, and how am I supporting that change management versus the new manager? It's totally different ball games.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, my final question for you. All right, because I could talk to you forever. My
I
final
know. Me
question.
too.
I know the time goes by so quick,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
My final question for you is if you had one piece of advice for a leader now that's like, hey, what should I be thinking about when it comes to implementing AI in our workforce and balancing, the three, AI, humans, our business, our like for our customers and our business experience, what would that piece of advice be?
yeah. So I think it's really important you're strategic and intentional. So what are your goals you're trying to accomplish with AI? What are your actual business goals? Not I want to turn it on and plug it in, right? Actual business goals. Then is that going to be customer facing? Is that internal facing? Right? So the very different strategies there as well. What's that going to look like for my customers? What is that going to look like for my employees? What types of tools are we implementing? Is it just efficiency tools? Is it actually doing some of the work itself?
I love the first part that you even said, right? What is the strategic advantage? Like, what is the
Yeah,
strategic thing that you're looking for? And then the other thing you said that was super key that I want to just make sure the audience got because
yeah,
it was really good. Was are we using this internally, like for our
yeah.
agents, like to make super agents? Or are we using this AI externally to be customer facing? Because those are two different things, and you could be
You,
using both, right? You could be
you
using
could.
some that self serve, agent customers are interacting and engaging with AI from a self-service perspective, and you could be using
Yeah,
it internally as well with agents like auto summaries and
yeah,
all these different types of things. So, but understanding, I think that first level of what you said, the first tip was strategically, what are we trying to do, right? And
yeah.
not just strategically like, hey, this is what we get AI, but what is the outcome and how does the metrics change and those types of things.
And one last thing is don't forget the people. Right?
Oh,
And make sure you're supporting your people. Yes, this is exciting. It's revolutionary. We're all excited about it. But you remember your people are concerned. Your people are worried about what is this going to do for me? Everyone, you hear all the news about the layoffs and the cutting the job openings, and remember that your people are worried and
yes.
concerned. And are you being upfront and communicating about what your strategy is and what that looks like? And just be there to support them. We're people at the end of the day.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Well, thank you so much for taking
You're
the time
welcome.
to come on Tipsy Thursdays. All right.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Well, you heard it here first. That was such an epic episode. Again, the challenges, we talked through transformation, and we also talked through advice, right? And I loved Jamil's advice around, making sure you have a strategic plan and what those outcomes are going to be. We talked through transformation, talking through, hey, like, are you going to be using it internally? Are you going to be using AI externally? Or both, right? Which way are you going to be using it? And then don't forget the people, okay? Don't forget the people. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. So until next time, you guys already know what to do. Go be great and let's make impact. If you want to be on Tipsy Thursdays, you already know what to do. Click the link, it's somewhere around here, and we'll see you soon. Until next time, go be great and let's make impact.
Thank you.